daily painting practice. There we go. Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie, and we're going to do a sweet cupcake painting right here in the middle of this little canvas. And it's going to be pink frosted chocolate cupcake with a cherry on top. I'm really excited, and I hope you will be too. I've had a few people ask if I would please do a bit more narration with my speed videos. So this video is going to be a speed video. You can always slow it down by clicking on the little gear icon below the video, and then you can select how slow it's going to go. If you do that, you're going to want to turn the sound off though, because my voice will be going really slow. So you don't want that. We're going to go in here and do this pretty little cupcake. And the canvas started out as an orange because that was leftover paint from a previous painting session, and I had just coated a bunch of canvases with different colors. I'm using Acrylic Gouache. This is matte. It has a very velvety kind of look when it's all finished. I'm really enjoying that look. But you could do this painting with regular acrylic paint, with regular gouache paint. It's very, very forgiving in that. I like the ability to layer my colors up and to have light go over dark, and that's why I'm enjoying the gouache or the acrylics versus the watercolor for this particular painting. You could do this with watercolor. It's just different steps. And, you know, you could do it with alcohol markers or anything, really. You could do it with colored pencil. It's fun. Now, this picture I got from Pexels.com. It's a photo sharing site where people, you know, professional photographers are sharing artwork, photos that we can paint or use in other types of commercial ways. So I found this and was just really taken. I loved the play of that sort of minty green with the pink, red. It's almost a complementary color type of play. It's not quite complementary. They're a little bit not quite exactly across from each other on the color wheel, but it's close enough. I really am enjoying painting this over that orange though. The orange coming, even though you don't see it in the end painting so much, there's a quality to the paint that that orange has given. I don't know how, it's kind of undescribable. Chocolate cupcake part, because it's just a little sliver of chocolate cupcake, but it makes a difference. It gives you the separation between the paper and the frosting. So you kind of need that. I'm kind of finishing as I go. So the plate is finished. I'm not going to go back and do anything else on the plate. Now I'm doing the cupcake. The cupcake is going to be finished. When I finish this part, the cake part of the cupcake is done. I'm not going to go back and work on it anymore. Then I'm going to put in the frosting. And when I put in this frosting, I put it in, painting it in a swirl. And I think that helped me with getting the sharper lines of the swirl in later. But I just get this blocked in. I do go out and start putting the paper edge, but I wanted to know where the paper edge was going to show up. So I did have to block in my frosting. But now I'm just going to use a liner brush and put in the paper cup edge. And it's just a little tiny zigzag going back and forth, little V shapes. And it doesn't have to be super precise. They can be a little bit mushy. They don't have to be perfect little pointy point edges, because if you look at a cupcake, some of them get a little bit squished, some of them poke into the cake a little bit. It works out. At the very end, I will go back and put the final shadows on the insides of some of the little points, which will really just separate the paper from the cupcake. I didn't want to spend too much time here doing it. I wanted to get onto the frosting because, boy, the frosting and the cherry were so much fun. So now we're going to start putting in some of the highlights and lowlights, highlights and shadows, but still painting it in a swirl. And I realized that the liner brush just wasn't going to give me the depth of colors that I wanted to start off with here. So I went back to the bright. One of the neat things about painting a small painting like this is that you can try out techniques that you hadn't done before, and it's not as scary when you're working on something that's a manageable size. I knew that I wanted to be done in about an hour, and I was done in about an hour. This video is sped up 4 times, so if you want it real-time speed, just slow it down to 1/4 speed. I wanted to explore doing some of those shadows and those highlights and getting the sharp edges in this fluffy frosting. And really, that's all about putting in your shadows, putting in your midtones, and putting in your highlights. Cherry is the thing that took the longest. On this whole painting, I spent probably half my time on the cherry. And that's because I drill into details and I wanted it to look a little more real. Right now I'm using a little bit of permanent orange for in that mid-tone highlights, basically. Using the liner brush to sort of firm up my edges a little bit. They were getting a little bit too fuzzy, and since the cherry has a very sharp delineated edge, I wanted to make sure that I got that on there. Using the liner brush to put in some of those tinier details. Look at your photo, look at your reference, and see where those highlights are. And notice that most of your highlights aren't white. They're a version of the color that you're putting down underneath. So some of these highlights are pink, and some of the highlights are actually a little bit green on this particular cherry, down around the bottom edge where it's reflecting the plate. because highlights are just reflections of what's in the environment. The brightest highlight on this cherry is probably coming from a window or a lamp. And you notice I haven't put the stem in yet. I didn't want to have to work around the stem, and because this is opaque type paint, you're able to put things in, lighter things on top of darker things. Now we're going to start putting in the stem, and I'm using sort of a greeny yellow color because that's what the picture looked like. I spend a little bit of time on the stem, but not too much. You know, you want to highlight, you want to low light or shadow. And I do use my fingers to smudge things sometimes, just because your fingers are a tool that you always have. And these are non-toxic paints, and I'm not eating while I'm painting. I'm not licking my fingers. I'm not licking my paintbrush. Don't eat paint. Just sort of let the paint dry as I was painting. It dries really fast. So that's something to be aware of. If you don't like it drying so fast, you might want to work with regular gouache, because then you can go back with just a little bit of water and glaze things or paint things over or blend with just a bit of water. Once it's dry, the acrylic does not blend again. Ah, there's the cadmium red. Just that little bit. It's amazing how it pops it up and makes it brighter and feel more real. Now, we're almost to the end here. We're going to do final little touches. There's the final little bit on the stem here. Keep going back and forth. And then there will be the little bit of the shadow down in the paper cup there. See how that just pops that out and makes the cupcake pop up out of the paper? Tiny little touches. Tiny little details. They don't have to be big, bold strokes to be something to make a difference. So I want to thank you so much for being here. If you made it all the way to the end, click down in the comment section and let me know. What's your favorite cupcake? I like that kind of little question to answer. This is available for sale right now. If you're interested, make sure to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. I want to see you back here again really soon. And lots of the information is below in the description, so check it out.